Yo, 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 what's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. Today, watching SethTheProgrammer. Saitama versus Gojo. You know, it was either this or Goku versus SpongeBob. So, you know what I'm saying? I thought 30 million SpongeBobs. You know what I'm saying? So, I thought, I picked the right one. Maybe. Maybe. Let me know you want me to watch that one. But anyway, Saitama versus Gojo, I need to finish Jujutsu Kaisen, guys. Okay, but I do know the Gojo is that man. He putting niggas in the what that move called? But yeah, he put people in shirt. Well, you know what Gojo do? Fuck, come on. And Saitama, he's strong as fuck as well. So we gonna see what's up.
Honestly, the intro. You know who these guys are. Strong anime guys. Let's just get into it. If you think Saitama is an omnipotent gag character that can one-shot anybody in fiction, he would win the fight. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Are they gone? Okay. First things first. Saitama is undeniably stronger than Gojo. Compared to the power of Gojo, Saitama may as well be an eldritch powerhouse that can literally fart his entire planet away. In One Punch Man's manga, chapters 159 through 166, we see Saitama face off against a god-amped martial artist named Garo in a state called Cosmic Fear Mode. As they fight, Saitama and Garo's fist clashing have such destructive energy that other top-tier characters like the #1 hero Blast and many other dimensional fighters have to actually teleport the energy away, or else the entire Earth will be annihilated. In doing so, many stars completely vanish from reality far off in the cosmos. During this battle, our One Punch Man gets so absurdly overpowered, he sneezes and accidentally almost blows up Jupiter. As a reminder, Jupiter is a gas giant with a mass, according to Universe Today, of over 318 times that of Earth. He also grabs one of Jupiter's many moons and flips it so hard, it just literally destroys it. Even attacks earlier when Saitama is much weaker can easily annihilate and dissipate energy beams that are going to obliterate the Earth with possibly enough energy to destroy stars, if you use English translations of the One Punch Man compass and maybe some naming fallacies. On the other hand, Gojo does all in comparison. The greatest feats in Jujutsu Kaisen for the most part tend to be considered the creation of domains via domain expansion, such as when Dagon creates a tropical island with an unknown amount of water around it, with others such as Jogo creating earthquakes and meteors that could damage cities, etc. The most highballed interpretation is if you considered this action mark here in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga in Dagon's domain that we mentioned earlier to be a star, and say Dagon had enough energy to create a star in his domain. However, this is clearly just an action highlight, with the light source of his domain being unknown. Even if you were highly charitable and granted it to them, a charitable interpretation of Saitama would also utterly annihilate anyway, with many thinking Saitama, even not being charitable, could destroy multiple solar systems to even galaxies, as shown literally on screen. Let alone an island and a giant light bulb, star. Even if you say Gojo scales above Hikari's jackpot, which gives him infinite cursed energy, you can interpret this in many different ways, with there being arguably more statements and translations of Saitama having limitless or infinite power than Jujutsu Kaisen. Said maybe Gojo having a technique actually just literally called limitless and infinite, whatever. The Hikari situation could just sort of be similar to the androids from Dragon Ball, where they have infinite ki and energy, but it more so converts into stamina, as in they can spam their abilities endlessly without getting tired, rather than creating infinitely powerful attacks. Infinite can also just mean very great. But anyway, Saitama is a lot stronger than Gojo, but as we all know, and as I went over in great detail in Kakashi vs. Gojo, which I recommend, by the way, Gojo is not about physical strength and cross-verse battles. The real battle is what Gojo can do with his energy and his techniques against this absolute power of Saitama. The main 3 abilities Gojo has that will be even up for discussion considering the sheer power gap here are 1. His Jujutsu technique Limitless, or his curse technique, and 2. Hollow Purple, which is sort of an extension of that Limitless technique, and 3. His domain expansion Unlimited Void. In every discussion of Gojo versus another character, one of the main reasons everyone immediately assumes Gojo is so overwhelmingly OP is due to the Limitless curse technique. Most discussions go from could he beat Gojo to could he even touch Gojo. In my last Gojo video, Gojo versus Kakashi, I gave a huge breakdown of Limitless featuring a large article from Jump Giga Summer 2021 where Shonen Jump themselves got a bunch of mathematicians and the JJK editor to break down how JJK and Gojo's abilities work in terms of numbers and mathematics and so forth. Well, I'm not going to give the same full breakdown for the sake of returning viewers. To sum it up, Gojo uses mathematics to create diverging numbers and distances between his opponent given a distance, and brings a universal concept known as infinity in between any 2 distances he desires, or at least up to a certain point. This makes it so that even a seemingly finite distance could have infinite points that some would have to traverse, which is brought up as Zeno's paradox. It would also function by rearranging points or numbers within a distance to make the distance ultimately different. Basically, he creates a space between he and his opponent that slows them and eventually stops them from ever reaching his body. In Jujutsu Kaisen 0, a character named Miguel explains red as a property of Limitless, or an extension of it, which is Gojo's ability to manipulate cursed energy on an atomic level to manipulate space, with the subbed movie of this actually stating it manipulates its space-time on an atomic level. This would also apply to purple, as purple is the combination of his red and blue curse techniques. Purple is described as creating a negative equation or hollow equation that basically creates an impossibility that removes whatever it touches. If purple works using Limitless, which is heavily implied, then it too would do this on an atomic to space-time level depending on what you would use. Now, the movie does say space-time, however, one important detail is that it also still says on an atomic level. So take that as you will. Meaning if Saitama doesn't have resistance to at least atomic level attacks or attacks that affect space-time, it may erase him. This is why when I brought it up as ultimately something that may matter, as Saitama is the type to honestly just stand and tank attacks from opponents he thinks are weak very often. Now, he doesn't always do this, but you have to admit it's very in character for him to do that. And Gojo's physical strength is not impressing Saitama in any way, meaning it is a good possibility Saitama may try to punch it away or just tank it like he does many other things.
True.
So could he survive things that attack him on an atomic level? Yeah. Pretty easily, actually.
Oh, shit.
Even characters like Atomic Samurai, a very powerful S-class hero within One Punch Man, can slash so clean it cuts on an atomic level, hence his name. And Atomic Samurai couldn't do a thing to Monster Garo in the webcomic, who, I'm not even joking, catches his atomic slash with 2 fingers and snaps the blade in half. The guidebooks then go into detail about Atomic Samurai being able to cut on an atomic level as well. However, these guidebooks are more for the manga, I guess, and this scene isn't in the manga, which is a bit different than the webcomic, but the webcomic doesn't really have a whole lot of information about it in guide form, so I'd say it's pretty reasonable to assume that is the intent of Atomic Samurai. One further thing that the guide says is that he's called Atomic Samurai literally due to his ability to attack with nuclear level strength and to slash on an atomic level. So if that's the whole point of his name, it would probably apply to the webcomic and Saitama as well. Saitama, even before getting serious, could handle Monster Garo pretty casually, so yeah, an attack that works on an atomic level I doubt is enough to just ignore his durability and just instantly kill him or something. This would only be for base normal Saitama as well, as he actually gets stronger, as many of you are aware of, in his fight against Cosmic Fear Garo, and in a few redraws of the One Punch Man manga. In his fight against Cosmic Fear Garo, he's able to pretty much kick away Garo's hyperspace portals, which are him literally just ripping open space and making portals in it via hyperspace, which is a space of more than 3 dimensions on Google. If you believe that time is the 4th dimension in question here, then he is manipulating more than obviously space-time. But if you believe it's talking about physical dimensions, then Garo may be opening up a level of reality Gojo couldn't even comprehend or perceive, and Saitama sort of just kicks them away. Garo also believes that he really can't do anything to Saitama at a certain point and doesn't even consider opening up, say, a portal on Saitama's body like a Kakashi Kamui as a win con or anything that is possible after seeing him just kick one away. Saitama in the One Punch Man manga redraws is also introduced to a character named Phoenix Man who is facing a high-level hero named Child Emperor. But the twist to this is they were fighting in another dimension, more specifically a spiritual dimension or an alternate space. Saitama just sort of punches into it. Yeah, I don't know. Not only that, but he could actually hear them while they were inside of another dimension, somehow. He's just different. Later on, we see Saitama, with some coaching from Garo, learn how to rewind the very particles that make up time in the universe to rewind time. So I'm going to be straight up 100% honest. Saitama probably could just stand there and tank Hollow Purple. Not only does he have arguable space-time feats or higher, but Gojo compared to Saitama in power is just non-existent on top of that. Gojo would be lucky if Saitama doesn't blink so hard, Hollow Purple just flies back into him like some Jiren versus Goku Spirit Bomb situation. Oh yeah, and Saitama being able to punch away space and all that, or even interact with it. A pretty interesting ability of his. In the anime, Garyuganshu, a general of main antagonist named Boros, hopefully I didn't butcher that dumb octopus's name, is able to manipulate gravity so hard he thinks light has trouble escaping from it. Even One Punch Man's artist, Murata, thinks that he can throw things around at near light speed with his powers as well. Black holes, while too strong for Boros' general to fully replicate, do in fact warp space and time. In fact, most forms of gravity do. Even if this octopus was sort of mimicking its power and making it a very extensive form of gravitational manipulation, Saitama just stands in its force and doesn't even feel it remotely. This is backed up by Saitama later tanking attacks compared to gamma ray explosions, which are the biggest form of explosions in the universe, let alone a pseudo black hole or minor space warping. But what I was really getting into with that was, if Saitama can interact with space-time, right, and Limitless more than likely just works on an atomic level, what if Saitama just sort of punched Limitless away? Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but I actually made a little example of you guys to show what he might actually be able to do, unironically. You have to remember, atoms, or things on an atomic scale, are still sitting atop space-time. If you can manipulate actual space, or space-time, you can quite literally just bend the fabric that atoms sit upon and negate Limitless. So now, if Limitless is not, of course, manipulating actual space-time fully, rather than just on an atomic level, which is hinted at more in the manga. Now, while there are very, very concrete proofs that Saitama could probably tank Hollow Purple, unless you think it is some conceptual level negative erasure god technique, and some decent proof Saitama could probably easily deal with Limitless, even if you think for some reason he couldn't punch through Limitless, he could still actually get through it. As you know, Saitama at the end of the fight with Garo can reverse causality. So if we're pitting a maxed out Saitama against Gojo, he would know how to do this. If he does this, he could easily rewind time to just reappearing with his fist already in Gojo's face, on a level Gojo couldn't even comprehend, as the attack would be coming from the literal future and isn't even a punch, just him appearing onto Gojo, thus sort of just ignoring Limitless and the space between them. But that's a very plug your controller up Saitama's ass sort of situation that he may or may not ever even do. I think it would just be kind of way funnier and more in character for him to just throw Limitless away or something. Just my taste, though. And yes, I'm aware Limitless is, of course, something that Gojo is constantly generating. But if it was to be negated or punched through, Gojo would then have to reactivate it. And of course, Saitama is probably a lot faster than Gojo, which we'll get into soon. The final win con, though, Gojo's number 3, Unlimited Void. This is where things can get quite sketchy. If it ever gets to this point, bloodlusted Saitama would blitz and annihilate Gojo before this technique was ever launched, to be quite honest. As you guys may know, many characters in One Punch Man can launch things at speeds faster than light, with Saitama straight up being able to zip around a moon in its almost entirety so fast that an explosion happening on it appears to not even move while he does it, which many have calculated to be much faster than the speed of light. Even characters Saitama flicked a rock at and killed with no expression could apparently throw things at him at near light speed, and he can catch those rocks easily, with Boros being able to kick Saitama so hard he hit the moon at light speed as well. Sort of similar, Saitama also jumps back from said moon at pretty much a similar speed or instantaneously. In Jujutsu Kaisen, characters, top tier characters by the way, hype up things like Mach 3. Bruh. That's right, Mach 3. And things like the speed of lightning are borderline unavoidable instant hit attacks. The only thing that could even remotely negate the speed difference is if you consider Gojo hanging out in the prison realm, which has no time and moving in it as levels of infinite speed. But as we outlined earlier, this may be questionable as Gojo's curse technique and aura may manipulate space and time already, which may allow him to move. Even then, if Saitama reversed causality, he is guaranteed to hit Gojo and one-shot him. Also, if you really want to wank Gojo's speed to inaccessible or infinite, you could easily probably wank Saitama to immeasurable, which means he could just freely move through time. But if Gojo hits the unlimited void, what would happen? The Unlimited Void is different as it is a mental attack, and in the Jump Special, domain expansions are explained as setting the coordinates of your opponent and it appearing on them no matter what. So Saitama can't really just dodge it either, because it would just appear wherever his coordinates were. Normally I'd say he could just break out or punch out of it, but once it hits you, you are already being hit with its effects, which are infinite levels of information being shoved into your brain repeatedly. Yeah. Infinite levels of information are injected into your brain on the spot, and you can't move while it happens. Saitama, from what we know of, has no known mental resistances. I'm sure in the One Punch Man manga eventually he probably will get some, but from what we know, he's never really been shown fighting it too much, unless you consider him fighting, say, strong sidekicks or breaking into Phoenix space a mental feat. But the only other thing really is Saitama possibly imagining a universe within himself at the end of Garo, but even then, it's really questionable what that means, or if it's even an infinite universe. And even then, if it was an infinite universe he imagined, Gojo would still inject him with more information. Not joking. Maybe you might be able to argue that Saitama has the ability to ignore information, such as when people talk to him and the information just passes through his head, like comedically. But that seems a little bit disingenuous, but hey, maybe. This ability would probably, not joking, fry Saitama's noggin based on the information we know, although I doubt in actuality it would. Whether the level of information would kill him or not is more debatable, but it could probably stop his movements, if at least briefly. If there's anything you guys think that Saitama has that could negate Unlimited Void, let me know. But otherwise, Unlimited Void isn't just infinite information, it's sort of multiple sets of infinite information. Everything in the universe repeated infinite times, every letter and everything, every sound, literally everything.
Okay.
Unlimited Void. It's sort of an absurdly broken ability that very few shonen characters honestly could ever hope of having a weirdly abstract resistance to. For a character to have a resistance to it, it has to be very, very specific to the story. So I'm not surprised that in One Punch Man we haven't seen something like that written, because it's just so weird, right? In conclusion though, Gojo would be lucky if he ever even got to launch said Unlimited Void to begin with, as Saitama is just much faster, and if bloodlusted, may straight up just punch through Limitless and kill Gojo in one punch.
That it? Oh shit. Yeah, I'm going with Saitama Ku. Saitama just too fucking strong. But I want to apologize if it looked like I was falling asleep at the end of the video. It's like 3 in the morning, and I just shot like, man, let me make a video real quick. But anyway, yeah, I was listening though. So, yeah, Saitama's that man. Gojo's that man too. So, but in there, Saitama just too fucking strong. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that. You're just too fucking strong, Saitama. So you know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, shout out to SethTheProgrammer. If you like my reaction, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.